So, welcome everyone. This is a part of a series of interviews we're conducting with award alumni, and this is a part of the National Youth Climate Activism Award. Launched in 2022, we hope to inspire and amplify the passions of young environmental activists and create this unstoppable wave of change. And today I'm really excited to speak with Sophia, who is an inspiring example of turning challenges into change. And so, to get started, Sophia, can you briefly outline your journey of environmental action?
Yeah, so I started environmental action when I was younger, and it started when my dad was paralyzed from the back down. When he was temporarily paralyzed, it was really hard on my family. My mom couldn't drive me to school, and I missed out on a lot of opportunities. And I realized it wasn't just me. When I got to high school, I realized that transportation barriers stalled opportunities, friendships, and dreams from many students, especially students from single parent households, from refugee or newcomer families, and many, many more who couldn't necessarily help support their kids to come to school and other activities in the community. With that realization, I realized, like, oh my goodness, something needs to change because if we really want kids to be fully alive, and to be really participant, active citizens, they need to be able to go and be in the community, to volunteer, to be able to access income and all those other resources. But if they can't even get there, then it's really hard for them to do that. So I worked with a group called Regina Energy Transition, and that was a community advocacy group. I worked with them to get fare free transit for youth under the age of 13. It was a really, really big action because after 14 months of pushing and lobbying and talking to a whole bunch of different people, it was an action that went through, and that gave 36,000 children access to the bus. It was a major, major thing because no one really would know who was behind it. You could see the change. Suddenly there were kids at the bus stop. I could hear kids talking about it of like, did you hear they're going to make the bus free? I can finally go visit my mom at work. And all those little changes, I was like, this is what the bus is about. It's more than bringing someone to point A to point C. It's about community. It's about giving kids opportunity. And it's really an investment into our youth, into the community. So with that action happening, I thought, okay, now it's time to take it to the next level. Because most youth who struggle to get to point A to point B are the youth who are in high school. So I created a grassroots organization called Better Bus Youth, and our goal was to go and advocate for fare-free transit for youth under the age of 18. And it started with just 5 people, but over time we quickly went to 50 people. And these 50 youths, we were all working together, throwing different events, talking to city councilors, and lobbying our community members and creating a petition to see if we can make the bus free for youth. And we were able to engage more than 1,500 community members to agree that a motion or a pilot program for fare-free transit for youth is important, especially those once they're in high school. And again, it's super, super exciting because finally City Council was talking about it. It went before it was absolutely not, we don't want to talk about this, to okay, potentially this is an option. And when I started to phase out of high school, I realized, okay, this group needs to keep its leadership in high school. So I worked with mentoring the next stage of leaders. And with our next leader of this group, his name was Daniel, he was able to work with City Council to find funding and to create a motion. And that was what was going to go forward. And then with the next youth, she worked with, again, creating a lot of community support so it could pass. And just this January 29th, 2025, City Council unanimously passed a motion for a pilot program for fare-free transit for youth. And again, it's something that's so exciting because we spent more than 4 years working towards this emotion. And I'm just so thrilled and elated because it really just shows that this is beyond one person, it's beyond one leader. This is something that the community truly wants, right? It was carried by itself. And it's not just about Regina, it's more than Regina. Regina is now joining more than 20 communities across Canada who are making transit free for youth. And that's a level that youth investment that I think we just should be so happy about. So that's a little bit about me and my background.
A little bit is certainly an understatement. I just want to hear like a crowd of applause for the incredible work that you did for youth. And it was so touching to hear about actually seeing the change, whether that was youth speaking about the free transit and the child who said that they could finally see their mom at work. I think you are a beacon who started your own wave of change, and that is incredible to see. And thank you for sharing all of that. Now, jumping on one of the ideas that you mentioned, when you phased out of high school, you began to recruit other high school leaders to carry on the organization, and now we see that it is growing rather exponentially and doing so much good for the environment and for youth. Do you have any advice for other activists out there to grow their action and also recruit people who can help them amplify it?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is like when you're a youth, no one teaches you how to do anything. Um, but there's a lot of people in our communities who are willing to help. And that's what I had to do. I have found other people who have campaigned before, who knows what's going on, and I talked to them to see if that they were willing to mentor me or to give me ideas of what to do to keep things going. And that was a really beautiful thing because I was able to meet people who are in the nonprofit world, and they were like, "Oh, Sophia, there's this grant coming on. Maybe y'all should apply for it because it could help you get the funds to do what you want to do." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I never wrote in a grant before. Okay, how do I do this?" And they say like, "Oh, don't worry, just go write something down, bring it back, and we'll help you." So I say the first thing you should do is remember you don't have to do everything by yourself. There's so many other people out there who agree with what you're doing, who are willing to help with what you're doing, and also are willing to support you in ways that you never thought of. And that's both with people action, so people going out and helping you with things, but also the logistics sides and funding, um, and even like groups like this, like the Youth Climate Activist Award and all the supporting organizations. They're all here to support youth. And now I work at Get on the Bus, which is powered by Small Change Fund. I'm a program coordinator, and I'm working on making transit a national movement, so youth investments into transit. And even there, like our program director, Dan Hendry, he has youth all the time asking him, like, hey, I'm really interested in doing something, but I don't really know what to start. And I know he's someone who's more than happy to talk to grassroots youth and say, like, oh, maybe you want to consider applying to this. Or like maybe you want to talk to even me. I love connecting with youth and I do it all the time. So there's always someone here who's willing to help or point you to people who may know more on how to help.
I think it's definitely something that provides a lot of hope, at least injecting me with a lot of hope to know that the world and not even the country, the world is an ecosystem with people who want to create change and who want to help activate any barriers in your way to create change. And it's amazing, Sophia, that you were leveraging those resources to ultimately create the impact that you have. And similarly, on this idea of hope and of circumventing obstacles to action. Do you have a certain hype up song or maybe something like a message or quote that you tell yourself that motivates you as you navigate your time being an activist, leader, and just a human being or a student?
Mm, that's a good one. Okay, I think, especially as you get into activism, some people aren't going to like what you're doing. And that's totally okay. In fact, I think it's a good thing because if people know so much about you that they can start disagreeing with you, it means your message is getting out. So I think that a lot of youth have to learn to do is that when they start seeing criticism, take it as a good thing, right? Maybe this is a place for opportunity, for growth, and more importantly, to help people who may not necessarily see your message at first come and see the importance of your side. And I could give a really good story of that. I was in this meeting and I was there with a lot of adults who maybe forgot what it was like to be a young person to really struggle to get around the community. And when I mentioned like we need more investments into youth so that they can be a part of our community, they weren't necessarily very interested in that. And they said, well, why would I want to spend money to help Susie get to the mall? I don't really care. And when I said, well, it's not just about that. It's about making our many concurrent levels of youth investment fully utilize. That is like from education money that our different levels of government give to our youth, the nonprofit programs, the volunteer opportunities, and even our other methods to try and get more workers to come into our community. We're trying to make all those motions fully utilize, all those resources fully utilize. And in many ways, that's a cost saving measure because you are helping our youth to become who they need to be. And once I started wording it like that, they saw, okay, this isn't about giving people free things. This is about investing into our youth so that they have a better future. So I think that's what we have to start doing is that we got to shift both our own minds in how we see other people's criticisms, and we have to help other people shift their minds into how they see what we're doing.
That is super impactful and it resonates deeply about seeing criticism not necessarily as something you're doing wrong or an inherent weakness, but a sign of your strength and your activism to change minds, especially people much older than us who might lack that direct source of empathy, is definitely a message that lots of people want to hear when they think about how to effectively change minds and in turn change the status quo. Now, Sophia, is there a certain piece of climate related news or information that really excites you in the moment?
Hmm, climate news that excites me. Okay, I think there's a couple of them. So I'm always really happy when I look at like the Youth Climate Activism Awards site, just because you see how many actions a whole bunch of youth are doing. But I think the other thing that really excites me is to see how the province is putting more money towards youth investment. And I'm going to talk about Halifax really quickly. So for a very long time, when different communities wanted to do fare free transit for youth, it came purely from the city, the school boards, and maybe a little bit from the gas tax or carbon tax that would help fund it. But for the first time ever, Nova Scotia's government is helping to cover a portion of the program in Halifax. So now that's helping 54,000 youth in high school to be able to go around the community. So I think that's just so absolutely wonderful because now it's not just a few couple decision-making bodies who are seeing the importance of it. It's now many different levels of government and many different levels of government who are willing to help make it a reality. And I'm just excited to see how that's going to spread. So I think
Mhm.
those are the really exciting things going on.
Amazing. And again, I think things like Better Bus Youth have helped planted the seed that then sort of germinates and continues the chain. Thank you for sharing that really deep, positive piece of news. Now, do you have any advice for other people who want to, whether they're a blooming activist or an existing one, to take charge of their own social justice causes, whether that is environment related or not?
Hmm. Well, I think I always break it down to a couple of things. The first one is when you have those limiting beliefs that tell you you can't do it, try to throw them to the side. Because the thing is, no one knows what they're doing. The only way that you learn what you're doing is you have to go into it and you have to start. And try not to start alone. There's always people who are willing to support you, whether it's friends who may not really understand what you're doing, but they're there to support you. Have them come along, talk to people in different groups, and they're more than happy to come along. Find a mentor, someone who would be able to help you take your activism to the next level. And really get excited thinking about what you can do and what you can change. And create a strategy starting with little things. Like, for example, in Regina, it was very unlikely if we asked for fare free transit for youth under 18 for everyone that they would be able to do that because they'd be like, whoa, that's a really big change. We don't even know what's going on with the younger kids. So we started small. We're like, okay, well, what about the youth under 13? You're not already getting a lot of fare money for them. So the best thing that you can do is increase the number of youth that's going to ride the bus. And when we talked to the city about that, they went, oh, okay. So we'll even add that into one of our plans. And we'll go and do a motion on it. And they unanimously passed that. And from that motion, they saw a 260% increase in youth ridership. And they were like, oh my goodness, this is a huge thing because we want more youth riding the bus because that means that they can then become lifetime riders. So by doing something little and breaking down our strategy into a smaller piece, and then going to the next piece, which is what we really wanted for all youth, it made it easier for people to join us along. and to understand the importance of our message. So if youth can be able to break down their end goal into smaller, more tangible goals, it helps create a roadmap so you can keep going and going and going, and helps to bring more friends along. So I think that would be my biggest advice.
Mhm. Well, it's so awesome to hear your unbridled wisdom when it comes to making actionable progress and to create fun along the way as well. Thanks for sharing that, Sophia. Now, I'm wondering, why did you apply to the National Youth Climate Activism Award? And in doing so, and in winning the award in 2024, how has the NYCAA ecosystem enriched you or your work?
Ooh, well, I think the big reason why I wanted to apply was that this group has so many really wonderful youth doing so many different things, but all related in the same idea that we want to see a better world. And that's always a community that I would love to be a part of. And I think that's a big reason why I applied, was just because of the youth who are doing things and to be able to talk to them. I have afterwards being like, oh, I received this award, you have too. I'd love to kind of talk more about you with what you're doing. So that was one really great thing that came out of this. But more than that, I think what's really grateful I am for this award is the different platforms it has, like being able to talk to everyone today. They're here and it's able to go and uplift what we're doing on so many different levels. The things I'm doing personally, the things I'm doing with Get on the Bus to get more youth onto transit, um, but even more than that, to talk about other youth, like the youth after me, and the actions that they were able to do, Daniel Liebman and Kai Kalodi Watt. So this is what's really great about this, because not only do I get to uplift myself, I get to uplift others, and perhaps I can inspire other youth who never even thought about transit before as a climate action. And they're going, wow, this is something that could be good for my community, and I want to do that here. So now they have an idea and they know, okay, I have a couple people I can talk to. That's what I'm really excited about this board, is that it helps so many people get inspired and to find others who think the same as them.
Oh, it's amazing to hear that. And I definitely agree and would echo what you say about finding a community of activists here and getting inspired to uplift others. I think going back to your answer before about leveraging resources, the NYCAA has definitely been an invaluable one to not only myself, but fellow award winners and the Youth Climate Cabinet, again, just fostering a whole wave of activism. So, Sophia, if you were to sum up your climate activism in a movie title, whether that's real or not yet real, can you think of what it would be?
Oh, you're asking a hard one. uh,
Take your time in thinking about this one.
okay. You know what? I think it's kind of cheesy, but I think it's going to come back to finding my voice. Because ultimately, that's what all my advocacy has helped me to do. When I was little, I struggled with so many things, especially people telling me who and what I can be. From like, oh, you're a girl, so you can't talk about things that are in politics. Or like, oh, you're way too young. Like, no one is going to listen to you. And all of this advocacy that I've done has helped me to find my voice and really to find my confidence in myself. That I am a wonderful young person who can make changes in my community. And these are changes that not only help me, but help others. And I think it's something that's very relatable for many people because I think all of us struggle with finding our voice. Especially now, there's so many opinions on what other people think we should be doing. But the more that we're able to listen to ourselves and listen to our calling and our story, the more that we're able to help motivate others into seeing the value in what we're doing. And I guess, like, how wonderful it is when we're able to help and support each other.
That is beautiful. Again, your advocacy is not just about creating free transit or of helping more people, leverage those community resources by getting what we take for granted, transportation. It's also a form of self-cultivation, and it's amazing to hear that you've grown your self-confidence in doing all of your impactful work. Now, to end off, Sophia, what's next for you? Where are you going to get on the bus, or what are you going to pursue with your studies? Anything related to environmentalism or what you want to do in the future?
Yeah, so with Fair Free Transit, I would definitely love to see this become national because it is such a great cause. And I saw this in Regina. I saw how this spread to Saskatchewan, where after we did fare free transit for youth under 13, they did fare free transit for youth under 13. So I think I would love to see this become a national movement, and that's what I'm doing with Get on the Bus, is trying to get more youth engagement onto transit and hopefully more funding, especially from higher levels of government like the provincial and federal government into it. So that's one of them. But personally, I am doing a environmental engineering degree. I'm in my second year, so I'm looking forward to finishing that up and to continue working this sector. I'm also doing a lot of research, especially with microplastics right now. So that's my other side interest and hobby. So I think I'll keep doing that. But I think my end goal is to really continue with what I'm doing and to really help other people see the value in the work that we're doing, especially the work that helps uplift others and helps uplift the youth.
Wow, that was really inspiring. And I think, again, Sophia, you're going to continue to help other people find their voice. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.